Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. For this video, I decided to show you guys my favorite brush sets that I have collected through 2019. And I guess those brushes will be mainly used in my upcoming videos as well. I have already shared some brushes in my previous videos, but I guess I will share them here again so it will be more convenient for you to download. Let's get started. So there are two brush sets here, and the first brush set I'm going to introduce is named Textured. So for texture drawing, this is the brush set I mainly use for the most of my drawings, which I call them texture drawing. And I'm going to introduce each brush here in the set, and then I will show you some drawings that I've done with those brushes. So set 1 including sketch brush, brush for sketching, and brush for coloring, and brush for texture. So I'm just gonna start with sketch brushes first. So the first brush that I use for sketching is this brush. Yeah, this brush looks like just like a penciled texture. The second brush I use for sketching is this one. This one has more like a rough texture. Third brush, it's smoother. And rough pencil is just rough. Kids crayon. This is from Kyle T. Webster. This is his brush, and I really liked it. Alright. Those are the 5 sketching brushes that I use, and the second category is let's talk about the texture first. So the second category I would say texture. So for texture, what I mainly use is noise. I have 3 noise brush. Each of them creates a different noise, like a noise texture, and really totally depends on what kind of texture I want. So sometimes I would combine different noise brushes to just achieve the texture that I want. And this is the texture outline. So it's basically a very rough brush that I use to outline sometimes. Okay, the next one is my brush for coloring. Chalk is my second most frequent brush that I use for coloring, and the most frequent brush I use for coloring is this Oil Pastel Large. Well, this one's also from Kyle. I have a lot of brushes that is from Kyle, and I really love his brushes. You guys can download online and try some more. Maybe you'll find more brushes that you like. This is the creamy brush. Yeah, I sometimes use it to base color, and this is a sample brush. It's just a very smooth brush, so it doesn't have much texture. Sometimes I don't want to have any texture, then I would use this brush. And this brush, well, I usually use it with the opacity mode on, so I would click this, and yeah, it would have a different kind of texture. And when I just add some layers to it, it creates a very nice texture. After I finish base coloring, I would use some add-on brushes to create more texture on top of those colors. So my drawing would be looking more detailed and has more texture on it. So those are the add-ons brushes that I use. And those brushes are very hard to do base color because you can see the texture is very rough, and you really have to press hard to bring up those textures. And this brush here, Love, is my favorite add-on brush at all time. You can even just create a drawing with this one brush, but you do have to press kind of hard, and I love the texture it's creating. You can't really see it here, but if I change the color, like for example, if I just do this like a skin color, like a skin tone, and there I add more texture to the skin, and to just add more depths and shades. Yeah, I just love this brush. This one, knife, like a scratchy texture. Yeah, sometimes I like to use it, but I don't really use it. But sometimes if I feel like I want this kind of texture, then I would use it for sure. This is a very great brush if you want those like scratchy texture. And the last two, this one, sorry, let me just change it to brown colors. These are similar to this two. It's very similar, just adds more texture. This one too is adding a canvas texture. Yeah, so this is all the brushes I have in the first set. So the second brush set that I use is for watercolor drawings. In my last video, I did a watercolor teddy bear drawing. I used these two brushes mostly. Alright, so for this first brush, it's from my teacher. I'll just change it so you guys can read better. So watercolor 1, and this is a smudge. This is more like a blend tool. You can just say it's blend tool or a blend brush. Alright, so usually what I do is that I use this brush first to whatever base color. As you can see, it creates those air bubbles as you do it, because watercolor, like the typical watercolor when you do it on paper, it creates those air bubbles. I really like this brush is because it really creates those watercolor texture drawings in Photoshop. So this is the base color that I would do, and then after I do a little of basic coloring and stuff, I need to use the blend brush. But for the blend brush, we need to use it in the smudge tool here. The smudge tool, and we click it to blend brush. And I usually do strengths at 25, but you can see and adjust it by yourself. It's like this. So as you blend it, it really creates this watercolor blending, texture. It's really nice. And sometimes when I'm just too lazy to really draw watercolor on paper, because then I have to clean up and everything, I just do it in Photoshop. It's actually easier, and you can erase it if you don't want to, or you can undo strokes. Yeah, it's like a sort of a way to cheat when you draw, but yeah, it's nice. So I usually just do it in Photoshop for my watercolor drawings. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you next time. Bye!